Hello, I'm Jacqueline McInnes Wood, and welcome back to my official channel.
Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline McInnes Wood here, and welcome back to my official channel for some seriously wild updates. And man, I am so incredibly tired right now typing this out for you all. It is way past midnight, and my eyes are literally burning from staring at this glowing computer screen, but I just have to get this information out to you guys as fast as humanly possible, because the drama going down on The Bold and the Beautiful right now is just absolutely unhinged. I mean, we all knew that Taylor Hayes and Deacon Sharp were playing with fire by sneaking around behind everyone's backs, but this current situation is just a whole new level of crazy that nobody was fully prepared for. So let's just dump all the raw, unfiltered information right here, right now. Grab a massive cup of coffee or an energy drink or whatever keeps you awake, because this is going to be a very long and bumpy ride. I am not even going to bother editing this for perfect grammar or flow, because the sheer volume of facts is what matters tonight. So bear with my clunky sentences and run-ons, because we have a lot of ground to cover regarding the Wednesday, April 1 episode and the massive fallout at the Cliff House. So let's just start with the absolute sheer stupidity of Deacon Sharp. I mean, really think about it for a second. The guy is married to Sheila Carter. Well, Sheila Sharp now, literally the most dangerous and psychotic woman in the entire history of Los Angeles. And he decides that it is a brilliant idea to go sneak over to the Cliff House to sleep with his former therapist, who also happens to be the mother of the woman his wife nearly murdered in a dark alley. It is just mind-boggling how dumb this man can be when his hormones take over. But he did it. He actually did it. He told Sheila he was having dinner with his daughter, Hope Logan Spencer, a totally fake alibi that he just threw together in a panic. And then he shows up at Steffie's house with a pizza, and not just any pizza, a pizza from Il Giardino, his own restaurant. Like, how incredibly dumb can you be leaving a giant cardboard piece of evidence sitting around on the kitchen counter like that? So he and Taylor get upstairs to the master bedroom, and they are getting ready for some serious passion, because Steffie and Finn took the kids on a cute little overnight camping trip, which, by the way, is a terrible time to do this, because you just never know who is going to randomly show up at that Cliff House. The security there has always been famously terrible. And of course, someone does show up, because this is a soap opera and nobody is ever truly alone. Sheila shows up. She comes over with a lovely bouquet of flowers, thinking Taylor is all lonely and sad by herself while her family is out camping. And Sheila is standing outside, and she hears noises coming from upstairs, strange moans and groans. And in Sheila's twisted but currently reformed brain, she genuinely thinks Taylor is being attacked by an intruder. So what does she do? She goes into the kitchen and she grabs a massive butcher knife, and she marches upstairs and she literally kicks the heavy wooden bedroom door right off its hinges, which is just such a classic, terrifying Sheila move. But before she gets through that splintering door, Deacon has to make a split-second life or death decision. And his decision is to jump out the second-story window, completely naked, not a stitch of clothing on his body, leaving all his clothes behind on the floor. And he climbs down the side of the house and hides in the bushes in pure freezing panic. It is honestly the funniest and most terrifying mental image ever. But Sheila bursts in, sees Taylor alone on the bed, realizes the groans were actually pleasure and not pain, and gets all giddy and weird, asking Taylor all these super uncomfortable questions about her mystery man. Taylor is just begging for her life, staring at this butcher knife, and Sheila is just smiling and wondering who the lucky guy is. But now we really have to talk about the spoilers for Wednesday, April 1. Because this is when the fallout really starts hitting the fan and exploding all over everyone's lives. Steffie comes home. She and Finn and the kids are back from their camping trip. They probably smell like campfire smoke and just want to take a hot shower and relax in their beautiful, expensive home. And Steffie walks into her house, her ultimate safe space, And she immediately senses that the vibe is totally wrong. And then she walks upstairs and she sees a broken bedroom door. The door is literally kicked in and hanging off the hinges with splintered wood everywhere. And Taylor is just standing there looking like she just saw a ghost, because she basically did. She saw the ghost of her past nightmares holding a deadly weapon. So Steffie immediately knows something is very, very wrong. And Steffie is not an idiot. She is a fierce, protective mother and a CEO. She demands to know exactly what happened in her house while she was gone. She is probably looking around at the damage and freaking out, thinking her home was invaded by some random psycho, which it was, but a very specific psycho that they all know too well. And Taylor is just totally on edge. She is trembling and sweating, and she can't hold the secret in anymore. The guilt and the fear are just eating her alive. So she finally breaks down and comes clean to her daughter. She tells Steffie the whole ugly truth, that Deacon was there, that they were going to sleep together in Steffie's house, and that Sheila showed up with a butcher knife and kicked the door down and nearly caught them naked in bed together. And Steffie just absolutely loses her mind. I mean, she goes completely ballistic. She is livid. Her blood pressure probably skyrockets through the roof. And honestly, she has every single right in the world to be this angry, because she warned Taylor over and over and over again. She literally sat her mother down multiple times and told her to stay the hell away from Deacon Sharp, because Sheila is a psychopath who cannot be trusted. And if Sheila finds out about this affair, she will target their entire family and burn their lives to the ground. And Steffie has innocent children in that house. Little Kelly and Hayes sleep in those rooms. So Steffie is just screaming at Taylor, barking out harsh warnings, telling her how incredibly selfish and reckless and stupid she is being by inviting this level of toxic danger into their sanctuary. Because you really have to remember the deep, dark history here to understand Steffie's rage. Steffie remembers the filthy alley behind Il Giardino. She remembers the cold look in Sheila's eyes when she pulled that trigger. She remembers the deafening sound of the gunshot. She remembers her husband Finn jumping in front of the bullet to save her life and bleeding out on the trash-covered pavement. And she remembers looking down the barrel of that gun again before Sheila shot her too, and then waking up in the hospital in a coma with amnesia. So for Taylor to just casually invite the husband of that exact same monster into Steffie's living room for a cheap thrill, it is the ultimate slap in the face. It is a massive betrayal of Steffie's trust and her trauma. Steffie is absolutely terrified. She isn't just throwing a tantrum. She is deeply afraid for her life and the lives of her babies, because she knows firsthand exactly how out of control Sheila can get when she feels betrayed or threatened. And now Taylor has handed Sheila the ultimate motive for revenge on a silver platter. Steffie is pacing the floor, running her hands through her hair, yelling at the top of her lungs that she knew this would happen, that she predicted this exact disaster if Taylor kept playing with fire. And Taylor just has to stand there and take the verbal beating, because she knows deep down that she messed up big time and put everyone she loves in mortal danger. But while Steffie is having a total emotional meltdown at the Cliff House and ripping her mother to shreds, Sheila is busy doing her own creepy detective work across town. Because like I said earlier, Sheila is not a stupid woman. She is a highly intelligent, calculating villain. She might have bought Taylor's flimsy excuse in the heat of the moment upstairs. But as she was leaving the Cliff House, she started noticing things, little clues scattered around that just did not make sense. So she is walking downstairs and she sees the pizza box sitting there, a box from Il Giardino, and her brain immediately starts ticking. Why on earth would Taylor Hayes order a pizza from Deacon's restaurant of all places? Taylor hates Deacon's restaurant because it's associated with Sheila. And then there is the whole situation with Deacon himself. And this is where the logistics get really clunky and hilarious, but I absolutely love it because it is peak soap opera nonsense. So Deacon apparently managed to climb down the house naked, hide in the freezing bushes, wait for Sheila to leave. and then somehow sneak back inside to get his clothes. Or maybe he just ran all the way home naked. But the spoilers say Sheila noticed him on the sofa pretending to sleep. So he must have rushed back to his own apartment before Sheila got there. And he is laying on the sofa, pretending to be in a deep sleep after all that wild adrenaline fueled drama. And Sheila walks in and she looks at him and she looks rather suspicious because he is probably shivering from being naked outside, or he is sweating buckets from the panic, or his heart is visibly pounding through his chest. His breathing is probably all wrong for a sleeping person. And Sheila just stands there in the dark and stares at him, knowing deep in her gut that something is totally amiss. The timeline of his night just doesn't add up at all. He said he was having a nice, quiet dinner with Hope, but he is acting like a man who just ran a marathon through a minefield. And Sheila is going to carry out a little thorough investigation on Tuesday and Wednesday. She is starting to put the puzzle pieces together in her head. And her very first stop on this investigation tour is Hope Logan Spencer, because Hope is Deacon's supposed alibi for the night. Deacon begged Hope to cover for him and lie to his crazy wife. And Hope hates Sheila with a burning passion. So she reluctantly agreed to lie. And because she desperately wants her dad away from that monster, and she thinks Taylor is a much better option for him. But Hope is a terrible liar. She has always been a terrible liar. She wears her heart and her guilt right on her sleeve. She is just awkward and stumbling and nervous by nature. And Sheila knows this perfectly well. So Sheila tracks Hope down to ask some questions. And she starts interrogating her about this supposed lovely dinner she had with Deacon. And Hope is just sweating bullets under the pressure. She is stumbling over her words, looking everywhere but directly at Sheila's piercing eyes, giving these totally uncomfortable reactions. And Sheila is just boring holes into her soul, watching every little nervous twitch, listening to the slight waver in her voice. And Hope's disastrously uncomfortable reaction is exactly what Sheila needed to confirm her suspicions. It gives Sheila a massive, strong hunch that Deacon asked Hope to lie for him, that there was absolutely no father-daughter dinner that night, that Deacon was somewhere else entirely. And suddenly all the tiny clues start adding up in Sheila's twisted, brilliant brain. The fake alibi from a stuttering Hope, the Il Giardino pizza box sitting at the Cliff House, the discarded men's clothes outside Taylor's window that she probably noticed on her way out, Taylor's moans of pleasure that she thought were screams of pain, Deacon pretending to be asleep on the sofa looking completely terrified and out of breath. It all points to one undeniable fact. Deacon was the mystery man in Taylor's bed, and Sheila is getting closer and closer to solving this puzzle completely and realizing that her husband totally betrayed her with the woman she actually thought was her friend. And this is exactly why Steffie is so deeply terrified back at the Cliff House, because Steffie knows how Sheila operates. Steffie knows that once Sheila figures this out, the countdown is officially on. Sheila is going to unleash a wave of vengeance that will destroy them all. And she is going to make Taylor her absolute number one next target. And Steffie is just trying to protect her peace and her children. But Taylor ruined it all for a quick hookup. So Steffie is probably going to be forced to enforce that strict family ban she threatened weeks ago. She might literally kick Taylor out of the Cliff House, hack her bags and tell her to go stay at a hotel. Tell her she cannot be anywhere near Kelly and Hayes because it is just too incredibly dangerous to have her around while Sheila is on the warpath. And Deacon is in so much trouble, he doesn't even realize it yet. He thinks he got away with it. He actually thinks jumping out the window and hiding in the bushes saved his life, but he only delayed the inevitable explosion. Because Sheila's powers of deduction are coming to be a massive problem later this week. And let's just talk a little bit more about the history of Taylor and Sheila, because it makes this whole situation even more messed up. Taylor and Sheila have this incredibly toxic past. Sheila actually shot Taylor years ago. Like way back in the day, Taylor literally died and came back from the dead because of Sheila Carter. So Taylor knows exactly what it feels like to have Sheila's bullet tear through her body. She knows the pain and the suffering, and yet she is still dumb enough to sleep with Sheila's husband. It is a level of psychological self-sabotage that even Taylor, as a world-renowned psychiatrist, cannot analyze properly. She counsels patients every single day on how to make healthy life choices and avoid toxic patterns. But she cannot even control her own messy life. She is sneaking around like a rebellious teenager with a paroled criminal who is married to her attempted murderer. It is just the absolute dumbest thing Taylor has ever done in her entire life. And Steffie makes sure to point that out during her epic screaming match. Steffie does not hold back a single word. She just completely rips into her mom. It is a total jarring role reversal. Steffie is acting like the responsible adult trying to keep the family safe. And Taylor is acting like the reckless child who just got caught breaking curfew and throwing a wild party. And then there is Deacon's history, which makes this all so incredibly clunky and fascinating. Deacon has always been a bad boy. He slept with Brooke Logan years ago and produced Hope. He has always made terrible decisions when it comes to women, but marrying Sheila was his crowning achievement of stupidity. Remember when he hid her in his tiny little apartment when she was a wanted fugitive on the run from the police? She literally cut off her own toe to fake her death. She walked around with a missing toe and a weird mask, and Deacon hid her and fell in love with her. He knows how crazy she is. He knows she is capable of cutting off her own body parts to get what she wants. And yet he thinks he can just casually cheat on her with Taylor Hayes and get away with it. He thinks jumping out a window naked is going to solve his problems. He is so deeply arrogant and foolish. And now he is laying on that sofa pretending to sleep while his wife stares at him, plotting his ultimate downfall. It is psychological horror at its finest. And the spoilers say that when Sheila finally puts all the pieces together between April 6 and 10, she isn't just going to grab a gun and start shooting people again. No, that would be too easy and too fast. Sheila is going to revert to a much worse and more sinister version of herself. She is going to decide to mess with Taylor and Deacon's heads for a while instead. She is going to drag out her vengeful plan and leave the guilty pair constantly guessing about her next move. She will probably pretend she is completely in the dark while she secretly plots their absolute destruction. She will smile at Deacon over morning coffee. She will bring Taylor more flowers, all while sharpening her knives, metaphorically speaking. And that is what makes this so incredibly terrifying. The waiting, the anticipation of the strike. Deacon and Taylor are going to be living in a constant state of pure paranoia. Every time the doorbell rings, they will jump. Every time a floorboard creaks, they will think it's Sheila coming to slaughter them. And poor Hope is caught right in the middle of this toxic wasteland. Hope is an anxious person anyway. She always wants everyone to be happy and safe. And now she is carrying this massive explosive secret for her dad. She knows she lied to a psychopath. She knows she stumbled through the interrogation. She probably goes home to Liam Spencer and just cries her eyes out from the stress. Liam is a stable guy. He is safe, and Hope is happily remarried to him right now. And honestly, there are all these crazy rumors floating around social media that Annika Noel might be pregnant in real life because she has been wearing these giant baggy shirts on screen, just like Ashley Brewer is doing with Ivy's oversized blazers. So fans are totally buzzing that maybe the writers are going to write a pregnancy storyline for Hope and Liam, which would be a beautiful thing for their family with Beth and Kelly and Douglas. But what an absolute nightmare of a time to bring a new baby into the world. With Sheila Carter on the prowl and Hope directly involved in covering up a cheating scandal that could get them all killed, the stress alone would be terrible for a pregnant woman. But that is just a rumor for now. The real concrete fact is that Hope is sweating under Sheila's gaze, and she is terrified for her father's life. So she calls her brother Deke Sharp, because Deke is the only other person who really understands the gravity of the Deacon and Sheila situation. Hope tells Deke about the terrifying interrogation, how Sheila didn't blink, how she asked specifically about the timeline of the dinner, and Deke totally freaks out too. He wonders out loud if Hope thinks Sheila found out about their dad betraying her with Taylor. And Hope probably admits that yes, she thinks Sheila knows or is very close to knowing. And Deke is already stressed out about his own life after breaking up with his stalker boyfriend, Remy Price. So now he has to worry about his dad getting chopped into little pieces by his stepmother. It is just a mess, a massive, clunky, terrifying mess. And I am just sitting here typing furiously, trying to process all of this raw information. My fingers are cramping, but I can't stop because the drama is just too good. The writers are really giving us a masterclass in suspense right now because they didn't have Sheila catch them in the act. They let Deacon escape naked. They let Taylor make up a dumb excuse. They gave them a false sense of security just so they could slowly, painfully strip it away piece by piece, the pizza box. The fake sleep, the awkward Hope interrogation. It is a slow burn of terror. And Steffie is the only one who truly sees the reality of the situation. Steffie is the voice of reason screaming into the void. She is looking at her mother and seeing a foolish woman who just signed her own death warrant. And you know Steffie is going to take action. She is not going to just sit around and wait for Sheila to kick her door down again. She is going to hire more security. She is going to change the locks. She is going to ban Taylor from the property. She might even go to the police, but what can she really say? Sheila didn't technically commit a crime by bringing flowers and checking on Taylor. The broken door was an accident born out of concern. Sheila is playing the game perfectly. She is the concerned wife and mother-in-law, but underneath she is a boiling cauldron of rage. And what is Taylor going to do now? She is trapped. She can't tell the police. She can't tell Ridge because Ridge would probably kill Deacon himself. She is completely isolated with her guilt and her fear. She wanted some passion and excitement in her life, and now she has a target painted squarely on her back, and Deacon is going to have to go to work at Il Giardino every single day and pretend everything is normal. He is going to have to serve pizza to customers knowing that a pizza box was the clue that brought his whole world crashing down. The irony is just thick and delicious. So yeah, that is the massive breakdown for Wednesday, April 1 and the surrounding days. Steffie is lashing out. Taylor is crying and guilty. Deacon is hiding and lying. Hope is sweating and stumbling. And Sheila is calculating and plotting. The human touch of this whole storyline is just the sheer imperfection of all these characters. Nobody is doing the right thing. Everyone is making clunky, terrible decisions born out of lust and fear. And I am absolutely here for every single messy second of it. But seriously, I need to go to sleep now before my brain completely short circuits from analyzing Deacon Sharp's naked window jump for the 100th time. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through this massive unfiltered rant. You are the best fans in the world. Let me know in the comments if you think Steffie is